What's going on? Welcome to a brand new episode of Breakaway Coverage. I'm your host, Giancarlo Nadeau. Pleased to be joined by RINK Hockey Academy's U18 Prep female head coach, Garrett Festerling. Garrett, thanks so much for doing this. How's everything going?
Everything's going great. Thanks for having me. I'm
Really
excited.
excited?
Yeah, I'm excited to talk hockey and I don't know, see what you have for me.
Yeah, no, I think we got a lot in store today, so really great to have you on. Just start off by finding out where you were born and where you grew up.
I grew up in Quesnel, British Columbia, just a small town, Northern Caribou. Um, yeah, great place to grow up. A lot of outdoor activities.
When did you first hit the ice? I'm assuming being from Quesnel, there must have been some ODRs.
Yeah, that's for sure. Every fire station had an outdoor rink and a lot of ponds, a lot of lakes up there. So it's every day you're jumping on the ice. Um, I don't know. I probably started. I was a late start, 7 years old when I got on the skates, and you know, just like everybody in Canada, that's our favorite pastime.
No, for sure. Favorite NHL team? Was it the Canucks being a BC boy?
Oh, of course, Bertuzzi, Naslin, Morrison, Jovo Cop. Yeah, I loved watching the Canucks growing up.
I
Like,
know you just said, you started skating when you were 7, but when did you realize hockey was something that you could actually pursue as a career?
oh man, so a great question. I have a twin brother. He was a lot bigger than me, and back in the day, size was so important. And so the stronger you were, and I was little, so I didn't really know if I could make it in hockey. But I played underage midget, or sorry, U18 now. Sorry, I don't know if I can use that term,
It's all
but
good, no worries.
and I had a lot of success as an underage U18 player, and I thought that's when I thought, okay, like you can maybe make something of this and just keep going. And it ended up all working out.
This is a bit of a harder one for you, but who are some of the people that kind of stick out to you in terms of getting you to the right place when it comes to hockey? A teammate, a coach, maybe even a family member?
Oh, my mom and dad gave every opportunity for my brother and I to play. Talk about outdoor rinks, growing up with a twin brother, being able to play one on one with him every day was amazing. Um, I guess volunteer coaches, landscape of hockey's changed big time. Kids moving away from home. But growing up, everybody in the community volunteered their time and would help and support and was all in for your development. So Kenny Gassoff was huge growing up for me coaching. I think another situation was when my brother brought me to Vancouver and I started training with the Vancouver Giants head trainer Ian Gallagher. He transformed me and got me strong enough to play against men. And I owe a lot to Ian to give me the platform to physically be ready to play pro.
Your brother captained the Giants in the '07 Memorial Cup. How special was that group?
Oh man, it was awesome. Watching Gallagher, Lucic, Boma, Mahacek, Rabbit. Oh man, Lamb. The names go on and on. Fistrick, I believe, was there. Blum. They were stacked, Slade, and they were so fun to watch. And they could wear down teams physically, and they had enough skill to make you pay. Like it was built so strong and fast with skill. And I was jealous I never got to play on that team or to get traded to that team. But it was a fun ride watching them go through their championship route. I think they lost to Med Hat in the league championships, and it ended up beating them in the Memorial Cup. So yeah, that was a fun couple months of hockey. Looking back on it,
Were you in the building for the Mem Cup?
yes, the Coliseum just rocking white out with all the everybody waving the towels. Um, that was electric. Looking back on it,
So being in the building for an event like that, I'm sure it's no surprise for you to know that it's still like that with the Golden Eyes.
isn't that incredible? That's I think that what a great building to have hockey in. It's a perfect size, um, a great platform for the pro team, and I think that's just going to continue to grow and generate excitement.
Oh, for sure. It's so exciting. Great to be back there. Super cool that the Golden Eyes are using that as their home rink here. Just getting back to you though, you played over 700 games in the DEL over a career spanning 15 seasons. What was that like for you?
Oh man, it was kind of incredible how it all turned out. We played my overage season in the Western League. Was unsure of what really was going to happen. Ended up getting a tryout with the Ottawa Senators, and they kind of gave me a blanket offer. Come to our American League in Bingo. You could be there or in Elmira in the East Coast Hockey League. And back then, the Western Hockey League gave us education. I had worked at something out with UBC and thought I would just go get my education first. The first day of school, I got a call from an agent over in Germany and said, I have a contract for you in a lower league. Why don't you come and try it out? And I just took a leap of faith and kind of was angry that I never got any opportunities and poor me. And so I took this opportunity in Germany and thought, okay, I'll give it my 6 months before my school education from the Western League runs out, and I'll make my decision in 6 months. So I went over to Germany, played till Christmas time, and it all worked out where I had signed a 3-year contract in the DL before I had to make that decision. So the decision was made for me to stay over in Germany and play in the DL.
You talked about taking a leap of faith. That's something that a lot of players aren't willing to do. How important is it to do that, but to also understand that the NHL isn't be all end all?
Yeah, it's definitely a scary situation to be in, not no, there's so many kids that are playing. Sometimes it's not about talent. Sometimes it's about being in the right place at the right time or someone giving you an opportunity. When I look back on just my initiation to hockey in Europe, I was so naive and I couldn't believe how many kids were playing or how many adults or how many leagues or how many teams they had over in Germany. I'm like, or in Europe in general. Like hockey's cheaper to play over there. They have just as much kids playing, and every country has two or three professional or one, two or three professional leagues. Sure, their third league is like a men's senior, but they're still getting paid to play. Their second leagues are generally like East Coast level, and their first leagues are American Hockey League or better level. So a lot of people in North America don't know that knowledge of how good the hockey is over there. And then kids thinking about contracts and East Coast salaries, it's hard to survive. If you're lucky enough to play in a first league in Europe, it's really good money and you can make a good living.
Well, you had quite the career, obviously, being able to play there for so long, but you also had the opportunity to represent Germany on the international stage. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, after my first contract as an import, an agent approached me and said, "Your name sounds German." I asked my grandmother, and she saved all the passports and birth certificates and immigration papers that I had no idea. I had my passport in under a month. Um, and over the years progressed, uh, Germany asked me if I'd like to play in a tournament. So one tournament after another, I was accepted by the German national team, and what an incredible experience playing against the best players in the world at an international stage. We talk about there being levels to this game. I feel very honored to have, I don't know, played for a country and played at that level.
Who are some of the stars on that German team with you?
Marcel Gotch was a huge one. Um, there's a guy, like, people probably don't know these household names, but Jerome Flacca, David Wolf. Um, there's I'm kind of drawing a blank right now because I've played with so many players, but yeah, there's a ton of good players in every country, and my short stint with the national team over 3 years was a lot. Like great memories, and I always look back on those.
Is there a certain piece of advice or a lesson that you picked up during your 15-year pro career?
Probably just I probably picked it up too late, but being able to enjoy it rather than put so much pressure on yourself for that next achievement or that next contract, or you don't have to always prove things to yourself. It's okay to live in the moment. Working hard these days is a standard. Being a good person these days is a standard, but the more you can understand that and just enjoy it at a younger age, I think you'll have when you look back on it, you'll be happier with how you conducted yourself.
I'd love to know when you wanted to shift gears from being a player to stepping behind the bench.
Well, I played till I was 37, and I walked away from a contract to have my family situation settled in Canada. My girls were 10 and 7 at the time, and they needed just a home base instead of following dad around playing hockey. So we did a family vacation to Kelowna, ended up being settled here in Kelowna, and I was doing nothing. I was driving the kids to their soccer practices, dance, school, and I just needed to be busy. And the RINK Hockey Academy here in Kelowna offered me a player development job where I was super fortunate to give back to the game and be around all these great athletes. And after a year of skills development, Chris Hogg, who has a great reputation in the female hockey, he got a job to Clarkson. But before he went to Clarkson, he asked if I wanted to be an assistant coach with him. I could do player development and be an assistant coach for the female team. So it's just right time, right place, and kind of fell in love with the game again, being on this side of the game.
Well, pretty successful for you right out of the gate here. First season behind the bench, you won a CSSHL U18 Female Prep Championship. What was that like?
Oh man, you never would think about how different it is on this side of the game. Trying to manage emotions and ice time and trying to get the most out of every player. When you're playing, you'd never see that. So I feel like it's just as rewarding. It's probably more rewarding because if you've won as a player, you want your players to feel that. So I think being able to support this team and winning to have that sisterhood, those people, friendships for life that championships bring, I think that was really rewarding.
You've played pro hockey. You're also coaching. For you, being a professional hockey player and now being a coach, what is one of the biggest differences between the men's game compared to the women's game?
Man, it's it's tough for me to break it down because I'm a big believer that it's the same game. We all speak the same language. Um, there's arguments that the men's game is more physical or faster, while men are bigger and stronger at nature. But the female game is so fast and so skilled that I don't think people quite give that enough respect yet. And being involved in it, it has opened my eyes to how big it is and how fast it is and how physical it is. So I'm super excited for where the game's going to go. So I don't find too many differences in the game, especially from my experience playing in Europe on a bigger sheet. It's not so much physical, and you can't run out of position to hit. So I kind of translate it to the same European style of play to the female style here, just because there's not as much hitting. There's more um, better angling, better puck possession, and I think that that's just going to continue to grow and grow. And I think partly for success, how I've had in the female game is to have structure the way my teams used to play in Europe for better positioning and better anticipation for offensive attacks. And I'm very honored and feel lucky to be given back to this side of the game, and having two daughters to see that and look up to these girls, I think is important as well.
You know what? I got to be honest, that's a great comparison. I ask a lot of people that same question I just asked you, and for you to use, a real world experience and relate it to the female game, I think is really cool and so something I've never heard of before. So that's actually a really cool answer and probably something that will stick with me here. But one of the things we kind of brought up right out of the gate was your brother and playing out of the Coliseum and experiencing that as a fan for yourself when the Memorial Cup was on. But that's just one market. The PWHL, it continues to expand, it continues to grow. Talk to me about the increase in interest and people really getting behind the PWHL.
Yeah, it's been so wonderful to see firsthand. PWL has been around for 3 years now. So just looking back on that's when I started helping the female side of the game. And I remember we went to a tournament in Stoney Creek. And I couldn't believe that there was 80 teams there and every single Division 1 school and all these girls ripping pucks as hard as boys or toe dragging or running power plays like the Vancouver Canucks. I was blown away. And ever since my first experience with women's hockey till now, I've only seen it grow. There's more young girls looking up to older girls because these girls, like in the CSHL, I feel like it's a great platform to young girls to look up to for how these girls conduct themselves. And I think that it starts at a young age where these girls show the pathway for younger girls to play and that they can be confident and be themselves to enjoy hockey. And I think now that the PWHL is here, it's just started a whole streamline of girls to support each other and have goals to look up to and to make. And hopefully it trends in the fact that in 4 or 5 years from now, these women are getting paid how they should. And I love it how they're structured where they go to school, they get drafted out of school. So when they have a degree before they go pro. So it's a big umbrella and I think it's structured so well. And I'm excited to see how it explodes more with these expansion teams coming in.
You mentioned one of the things you wish you did as a player was kind of sit back and take it all in a little bit more. For you, not only having a pro career like you did, but also being a female head coach and having daughters of your own, do you find yourself kind of taking a step back every once in a while to really appreciate women's hockey for what it is and what it continues to be and will continue to be?
I think I've been able to take a step back now and look at it. When I first started a couple years ago, I was super motivated to kind of drive and lead to for these girls to have success. But that at the level we're coaching now, it is huge for them. That's their junior hockey. So I think they're motivated enough on their own. So to take more of a sit back approach to have better communication and maybe calmer guidance is is super important. So I'm happy to kind of be at that stage where I can take a step back now and really enjoy it and being able to share different lessons that are experiences that I've went through. I'm very lucky too. My assistant coach Abby Cook, she has a ton of experience in the game as well. So I think it's a great pair to have to support these girls in their hockey journey.
I want to leave you with one more and really appreciate you taking the time for me today. What advice are you giving to a young girl who wants to play hockey one day?
To be present every day. I find that we're so lucky and it's a privilege to play hockey. Nowadays, this is so expensive and it's a big commitment. So really be present and enjoy your time. Secondly, I think watching hockey is huge. I think if more females or boys in general, if you watch hockey, I think that can help your IQ, your reads, and the more knowledgeable you are of the game, I think it's easier to translate your skills live.
For sure. That's Garrett Festerling. He's the head coach, RHA Kelowna U18 Prep. Coach, a pleasure. Thank you so very much for doing this.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Breakaway Coverage. I'm John Carlin Nadeau. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back with a new one next week.